Hi classmates and Dr. Stoffer. I hope you're all having a nice Advent season as we anticipate the hope that we have in Christ's return. So I wanted to go ahead and dive in. So for this assignment, I looked up a 10-year history of the Nebraska Board of Disciplines for the last 10 years for all licensures, but I looked particularly at actions against mental health practitioners, independent mental health practitioners, provisional mental health practitioners, and professional counselors. Actually, I was shocked to find that there was over 150 individuals who had violations and disciplines. And this actually didn't even include alcohol and drug counselors, who individually in that category alone had over 80 violations, and primarily they were violations related to substance abuse and alcohol dependency. So it's kind of unrelated, but I just found that to be extremely interesting, and I'm not sure what the comparison is there. But anyway, of the 150 plus violations for the mental health practitioners, there were about 5 common themes, and it was actually pretty evenly spaced between these 5. The main ones that I found, the violations that they committed, were failure to keep adequate records, obtaining fee by fraud, sexual misconduct issues, and this included abuse, misconduct, exploitation, and failure to safeguard the client's dignity, alcohol-related issues. This include alcohol abuse or dependency, practicing while impaired, or failure to comply with aftercare. And the last main one it was actually called failure to file report 38-1. Statute 124. So I looked that up on the Nebraska Legislature website, and it's basically a in general, it just means that these counselors failed to report another licensed professional who had violation in some way, whether they were not being properly credentialed, they were unprofessional in some way, incompetent, etc. This counselor failed to report another professional, and therefore they received a violation. My personal reaction was I was actually extremely surprised by how many violations there were, and I was surprised by how public the information was, and I was really saddened by how many clients were harmed, as well as how much the counseling reputation was harmed in these different violations. And I just found it very sobering. This assignment doesn't make me fearful, but it makes me glad that we're doing it so I can get kind of a sober, realistic mindset that these violations and these disciplines really do happen, and I want to be ethical and above these things in all ways. So in particular, I looked up an individual from 2020 to 2021 who was a provisional mental health a provisional mental health practitioner, because that will be my next step following graduate school. So I wanted to look up one of those individuals. They committed the following 3 violations: dishonorable conduct, falsifying patient records, and unprofessional conduct. And I should mention that of the above violations that I mentioned, almost all of those individuals also had dishonorable conduct and unprofessional conduct tacked on there with their other violations. As far as the codes, the dishonorable conduct charge and the unprofessional conduct charge violated, it was Nebraska Statute 38-179 that discusses what professional conduct should look like, as well as ACA Ethical Code A.1.A, and this states that the primary responsibility of the counselor is to respect the dignity and promote the welfare of clients, as well as 1.4.A that just says to avoid harm, so just general professional conduct. And then the falsifying records violation violated Nebraska Code 94-01603 that prohibits falsification of records, and the ACA Ethical Code of A.1.B on records and documentation, as well as B.6.A code on creating and maintaining records. The outcome was that this individual has probation for a year starting January 2020 and to be done in January 2021. As far as impairment, the ACA Code of Ethics says that clients or counselors need to monitor themselves in regards to impairment, including physical, mental, emotional impairment, and refrain from practicing and seek help if they are impaired. Nebraska Statute 38-1-125B.2 says pretty much the same thing. And in general, this brought to mind that I wonder how hard it is to tell if you're impaired as a counselor, and you need to be ever vigilant to make sure that you're not impaired and that you have surrounding help to make sure that you're not. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.